Here we go. So first I want to invite everyone and thank you so much for being a part of Child Safety Month. Excuse me. So I just want to remind everyone that we have been working on this campaign to educate the public about alcohol sanitizers for November's Child Safety Month. We've been talking about how risky products are out in the markets. We've been talking about contamination. We've been talking about exposure, either through the skin or ingestion. We've been speaking with several experts. We've been also speaking about alternatives. And then we've also been speaking about how the FDA is warning people about it, but yet they're not in a place where they can recall. They can't force companies to recall. Companies have to do it on their own. And so, again, this is why it's even more important that the community becomes aware of these issues and becomes educated. On today's broadcast, we're going to be talking about the skin's natural immunity and hand sanitizer uses and some alternatives. And I'd like to introduce today's guest speakers. We have all the way from Jamaica, and it's very nice to see you again, Dr. Emanuel. Dr. Emanuel is a natural physician and a renowned skincare expert. He's also an expert in immunity and an international educator. So I'd like to welcome him to the show. Thank you very much. And then I would like to also welcome Jessica Chandler, who is a community activist. She's the former president of an autoimmune research and diagnostics company, also the ringleader of sanitizingsafety.com, a multi-state public awareness platform for safer sanitizing protocols. So we, of course, we broadcast on Zoom. We broadcast on Facebook Live. They are located in Nevada. I'm located in Arizona. So we have a multi-state operation to bring you the latest and greatest information on health and wellness for Child Safety Month. And I am your host. Awake, Healthy, Informed is a subsidiary of my other video series, Naturally Inspired. For many of you that have been on this journey with us the entire month, I am also a K through 12 certified teacher. I've been teaching for over 11 years. I have a master's degree in the art of education. And so I welcome again my colleagues. And next we're going to speak about the poison helpline. So on our journey, we've been speaking about intentional ingestion and we've been speaking about unintentional ingestion. So in either case, if you know someone who is found unconscious, has trouble breathing, not breathing, of course, call 911. You can also reach out to Poison Help, which is 1-800-222-1222. And you can always find all of the recalls and up-to-date information on alcohol-based sanitizers and the dangers of them on sanitizingsafety.com. And
there we are.
So we're going to go ahead and get started with our questions and our discussion, our conversation about this. Again, continuing almost to an end, sadly, of the month of bringing this information to the public. So hand hygiene guidance is to use soap and water for addressing COVID-19. So that is, I believe, from the WHO and from the CDC, is that it's the best use. And so, Dr. Emanuel, why is choosing the right soap important with addressing COVID-19?
Well, first of all, let me just start by thanking the team for doing this type of crucially important information when it comes to children. I am really all about our children, protecting and caring for our children. yes, adults, but at the same time here, I look forward to the future. And in any way, form, or fashion that I can help, or I see individuals who are really as exciting or excited about protecting and caring for our children, I want to be a part of that. I'll get to your question in a minute. I happen to specialize in skin mainly because everything comes from within. And the skin is one of the most valuable organs on the human body. And it tells everything about us, seen and unseen. So I chose to speak about the skin today rather than going into all the various, the plethora of things that happen. You have a billion different types of soap on the market. And just like with alcohol, you also have an array, a wide array of alcohol and other things that they are sharing with us. And most of it we really don't know much about. You take soap, for instance. The pH of the soap is very important for everyone because what soap does, it has a way of stripping the skin. It has a way of robbing the skin of certain very important things like moisture, for instance. Oil, the oil, the sebum from the skin, from the sebaceous gland. It's very important. Just like sweat, perspiration is very important. It's crucially important because with oil and moisture, the acid mantle is formed. And if the acid mantle, the pH is not up to par to destroy common bacteria, you can have a problem. The other area there is, depending on the pH of the soap, stripping the skin depending on the child, because even though they are children, the skin might be lacking certain things, and when you use soap, it further destroys the protective mechanism of the skin, which is that acid mantle. So if a child is drinking too much liquid, it's going to disrupt the acid mantle, for instance. Or if they are bathing too often, just like washing the hands every minute, they run in the house and they run out, and each time they come in and use these, be it soap or alcohol, they are constantly disturbing or disrupting, for a better word, the pH, the acid mantle itself. And that in itself can be harmful to anyone, even adults. I find as when I was deeply involved in skincare, clients would come in and they would say, I have dry skin. But I, the specialist, would want to know, is the skin dry, lacking moisture, or dry, lacking oil? Or dry, lacking both oil and moisture? So if that person doesn't know, they would come and they say, oh, my skin is terribly dry. Oh, it's like dry paper. tissue, then I would want to know exactly what's lacking, because sometimes even when you see oil on the surface, we have to be able to measure the amount of oiliness, the degree of oiliness that's on the skin, or the degree or severity of dry skin. So if you keep using something like alcohol on the skin surface and it's already dry, lacking moisture, alcohol evaporates, but it doesn't just evaporate into thin air. Sometimes, more times than not, it goes right through the corneum, the topmost layer of the skin, that corneal layer, right? And it goes right into the blood. It goes right into the bloodstream. And for children who are what we refer to as virgin skin, even though some adults, they have something similar to virgin skin, but they call it sensitive skin. Mm-hmm. That has to be met with proper and full understanding, or overstanding, as we say here in Jamaica, of the condition overall. If not, you will allow the excessive and abusive use of whatever you're using, be it a very high pH soap. And trust me, I am dealing with soap for quite a few years. I even went to China to teach about natural soap, right? I have my own oatmeal soap line. So I which is about to go on the market. But I'm just saying here, it's very important to understand the pH of the soap. Sometimes they smell good, but they can be quite harmful to the surface of the skin. So that's why soap or high alcohol content cosmetics, skincare products, they can be crucial to adults, much less children. So the excessive excessive use of the alcohol or washing with strong soaps, even sometimes mild soap, because soap leaves a film on the skin surface, can also be harmful in various ways. Mm-hmm. Are you with me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've seen that with healthcare professionals, especially in the very beginning, that were washing their hands over and over again. And then you would see pictures online of dry, cracking, peeling hands.
That too invite bacterial intrusion. Okay. A child has a scratch on the skin, and it is not enough pH is not proper, then that child can have a big problem with any of the germs out there. Okay, not just COVID virus itself, which they're telling you have to get it in to the system one way or another. So we have to know how to see and learn, pay attention to how often how often they're coming in and out, and what you're buying for your children, because they don't know. We, the adults, must know the pH of the soaps that we're using. Here in Jamaica, for instance, soap is soap to a lot of people. Alcohol is just alcohol. They don't know it's 70% alcohol that you have to use for it to be adequate. Okay. The other thing that I have a problem with, you have naturalists, herbalists who are making things up And the heart is good. But at the same time here, lacking the understanding as to no one thing is going to give you optimal protection if it's natural. You have to be careful here with some of the things they tell you that they have as an ingredient, a particular ingredient in a particular product. There's so many things that you can use naturally. For instance, aloe vera is quite good for the skin because it's antifungal. It protects the skin, but only to a certain degree. And whose aloe is it? Because they're not all equal. Are you with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Whose aloe are you using? Aloe vera, you have so many different types and kinds of aloe, right? Even some of the ones you have here, the bigger the aloe, the less effective because of the water content. I'm just showing you there. So if a person,
that's important. I mean, to explain this so that people understand. Yeah.
If a person says aloe, well, I know in Mexico, not to be knocking Mexico, I love Mexico. They grow the aloe vera there for bulk, for plenty, you know what I mean? So they overwater them and they get really big, long, and full. But the efficacy is not there. The effectiveness is not there to do the job. So who's growing the aloe? You know, comfrey is a good thing also. Fever grass is a good thing also, you know. But at the same time, where is it being grown and who's growing it to do what with it, cosmetically speaking? And I am a person who likes to read ingredients, but at the same time here, who's reading and whose product are you using? You know, what is the integrity of the company who is putting out this screen or this particular product with this big name and all these claims? And you know,
you have to ensure you have quality.
We don't use claims because we're not curing anything. We're just talking about protective measures here, you know. But being careful, there's nothing wrong with that. And it takes understanding here, especially when you're talking about innocent children or adults who just don't know. We don't know everything.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, because this is something that hasn't been brought up almost at all, is about the temperature of the water. So does hand washing and shower water temperature affect the health of the skin? And is this something to take into consideration? Is because you'll hear some people say, you know, warm soapy water versus hot soapy water. And then in certain instances, even sometimes cold water, but it hasn't been brought up or addressed specifically whenever we're speaking about viruses and bacteria.
I would like to answer that really, because you see, here again, you cannot hold your hand long enough under hot water or wash your hand with hot water, hot enough to kill germs. It's not true. Are you with me? So that in itself has nothing to do with that. Hot water stimulates, right?
Right.
But at the same time, the erector pili muscles under the skin, those are the little muscles that are underneath, they're located underneath the sebaceous glands, right? And when you use cold water, they contract. And in contracting, they push up the sebum that protein substance in the gland, then the heat melts it down. It mixes with the sweat, and it forms your acid mantle like a moisturizer. In fact, it is the body's natural moisturizer. That lends a lot of protection, but at the same time here, if you're a hot water user, even when you go and take a shower, we always warn against prolonged hot showers because it strips the body, robs the body, and it suppresses the immunological system. Are you with me? And here,
yeah,
because
that's really great information.
Yeah, because you're talking about the receptors here, and they are controlled by the hypothalamus, the hypothalamus for sensitivity, the things that you don't feel, but there is an involuntary reaction or response to the body once certain things. So what is cold, the body knows whether the water is cold to contract or it's warm to expand. So in expansion, when you use hot water, you're opening up yourself, exposing yourself to problems, depending on the heat of the water and how long you bathe. And we always, even though we're talking about children now, that's one of the reasons why we always tell women not to take too long a showers when you're during menstruation. Because of what it does, it engages the skin too much, and for too long, it strips the body and it weakens the body at the same time, making you very open. Are you with me? So we always say when a person is during that period, which is a good thing, you have to be mindful and careful because of the skin.
Yeah.
It picks up everything, whether you know it or not. These receptors are very... another thing is excessive adipose tissue under the skin will kind of paralyze the sensitivity of the receptors because those nerves cannot function optimally. Are you with what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like if you have a mic and right at the head of the microphone, there's a short wire. Something is not screwed in right. You might hear that you might get a reaction from the microphone, but that doesn't mean that it's functioning optimally. So we always go to get the most out of everything we do. So hot water is not a bad thing, but I would not use hot water on a child's body. And I would say a child up to 7 years, because that's the first trimester of the development of a person. There are 3 trimesters. There are 3 sections here. The first is from 1 to 7, 7 to 14, and 14 to 21. So we have to know when a person is going into adolescence, you have to treat them differently than when they were from 1 to 7, skin-wise. That's why all these cosmetics they have out there, you have to be careful what you're putting on the child's skin because they were really designed for adults, most of them.
Dr. Emanuel, can you pull your camera down?
Yes. Put the camera down.
Yeah, just a little bit because you move and then it cuts part of your head off.
Okay. Am I better there, back here?
Yeah. Thank you.
Can you see my shirt?
Sorry for interrupting you. Yeah, let's see the shirt.
See it now?
Let's talk health. Yeah.
That's my television program. Yes. So again, we have to be careful here when we talk about all these things that we're putting on the skin. I went to the store this morning and I went in and they had this gel in this machine. I don't know what the hell is in it. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because you've talked about a couple of really important things that I kind of want to reiterate. So really, in order to boost natural immunity in children, we need to take maybe lukewarm showers, not cold. Kids are going to be, it's going to be too cold, so
we're not saying cold showers.
Yeah, but a little bit lukewarm, not hot.
Yeah.
Yes. And then making sure, absolutely, definitely, to be checking the ingredients of whatever it is that you're putting on your child's skin, making sure that maybe something that's specifically formulated for children. Do your research, look at the ingredients. You spoke to some natural herbs that can be used, such as aloe, but also making sure that you're receiving quality aloe. What are some other things that parents can do? Is there, for example, are there vitamins and supplements? Are there foods? Are there herbs? What other kinds of things can parents do to boost immunity?
My problem with some of these things, supplements that they have for children, most of them, they are in a liquid form. And because they're children and they know that our children are hooked on sugar, right?
Yeah, they put a lot of sugar.
They make it very, very syrupy for the child.
Delicious.
Sugar, certain types of sugars, an excessive amount and frequent use of these sugars can create a big problem immunologically, because they can disrupt the pH with the blood, in the blood, of the blood, which creates a big problem. Are you with me? Sugar has an expansive energy. It can never bind to give you protection. So it's always opening you up, making you more susceptible, more vulnerable. Are you with me? So I would, during these COVID times, and I know we are hoping that things turn around. I don't know when and how soon. But at the same time here, sugar they have a way of weakening the body, right? They impact negatively on the pancreas and the spleen. And if you do that, you're going to disrupt the functionality of the entire hormonal system, because it's going to throw off the adrenals, right? It's going to disrupt the functionality of the kidneys. And once these two things, which supposed to be playing guard with each other, one is protecting the other, then the thalamus and hypothalamus cannot be functioning well, because again, the spleen and the pancreas not doing well. It is not going to help your pineal and pituitary gland to be doing what they do to protect us. So the whole hormonal immunological system will not function optimally. So we do everything we can to cut down on any of the weaker sugars, like refined sugars, even brown sugar. Honey, for instance, even the honey is a wonderful medicine, but who is using it and how is it being used? All these things God created for us. They're all good, but understanding is crucial here. So you're not
absolutely.
Because, well, my mother used this when she whatever. That is not today. This is now. And everything is different. The altered bastardized things that they're feeding our children, they're altering the immune system of the child. So parents have to be a little bit more cognizant in their selection of food, preparation of food, consumption of food. Make sure that the child is going off. And that's another thing that would greatly enhance the child's immune system, is if the gut is clean.
I think that's important.
But the gut has everything to do with the skin. Are you with me?
Yeah.
It's the colon.
You are what you eat.
Yes, the colon correlates with the lungs. Your breathing mechanism. Without oxygen, saliva, and chlorophyll, you can't make blood. So most of our children are anemic. So we have to be concerned. You don't wait until you take the child to the doctor and then you get a medication because the doctor said the child has this or that or whatever. Then you run around and find that medication. To put that same kind of energy into learning the things that the child needs at that particular moment, depending on which or what trimester the child is in. First, second, or third. Because during adolescence is when it all starts to show up. The skin reflects everything.
You mean like pimples?
Pimples, pustules, acne, the different and various types of acne, because they're not all the same. And they're all blood related, all of them. And the blood is food related.
Yeah.
Food relationship is your divine connectivity with the foods that you select on a daily basis. And if you're just a person who loves food and you eat any damn thing, then you're going to have a corrupt, confused blood. Your whole attitude is going to be that way, the same, because again, you just said it. We are exactly what we eat and drink. And if we don't use the child as the parameter, the thing that you monitor.
You're right.
See, and I tell you, there are lots of parents out there, maybe after the second or third child, they really do well. But what they're not doing, they're not sharing that information. Those who really have learned or are learning, they ought to share more with other mothers.
And we're, so grateful and appreciative that you are here today sharing this knowledge and this information, educating people, again, being such I've had the pleasure of speaking with you and listening to you speak many times about these different issues. And every single time I just, I take away something. Then again, as a mother, I go back and I do that too. So now we're going to turn over to Jessica Chandler.
Before Jessica comes on, Tasha,
yes.
Lean forward into your camera. Let me just look at you once more. Yeah.
You see my gray hair?
No, I'm not looking in your gray hair. Gray hair. A wonderful. See, I'm great too. No. You said that you're a mother.
Yeah.
You had 2 children?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm saying to you that the skin tells me everything. It tells me about your past. I'm not going to go into it, but you're a wonderful, bright woman and an open-minded go-getter, and I love that. Okay, I love that.
Thank you.
Attitude. Trustworthiness.
I try to be proactive because the childhood that you just described is the childhood that I had, and as you grow into adulthood, all of that your parents did not do or did comes back to haunt you. So again, I really appreciate.
You're a wonderful person and a very open-minded and most trustworthy individual. I couldn't steal a pin.
Thank you. So Jessica, the CDC is saying that in the absence of water, it's recommended to use hand sanitizer. But as we've been on this journey together, especially, what you all don't see behind the scenes is every single time we encounter a news article, a video, we show up in the grocery store, we're snapping pictures, we're sending things to each other like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is so crazy. So, flavors, scents were there already, but, adding flavors, colors, making it look like candy, being crafted to be very appealing, fun. Hand sanitizer now is a very fun thing. What is going on here?
Oh my goodness. That has become one of the hot topics, especially for us here. With that being pointed out, do you know that it has been proven, there's studies out there that 35% of the child ingestion of these sanitizers happens at school?
Wow.
School, 35%. So you have a poison control issue here where you have schools calling poison control because their children are ingesting hand sanitizers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a one big study out of Texas with all of this in there as well, which is really, really fascinating. Now you have the flavors. A few weeks ago, we were in CVS, and there's a big, huge container of scented hand sanitizers next to the candy aisle.
Wow.
I mean, it's hard to stay calm, and it's hard to stay very matter of fact about this when you think that there's intentional marketing going on here to mislead in some ways. When you have, cotton candy, watermelon, like all these, tasty flavors and stuff. And we smell, it's like, oh my gosh. And it's next to the candy. This is before Halloween. It was, we took a picture of it. It's up on the Sanitizing Safety website, sanitizingsafety.com. There's a massive amount of information there. So one of the things that we have discovered is that especially with the scents, these children are drinking the sanitizers.
Wow.
As well as the adults. So, you could actually be in rehab in, a special facility, and you can drink the sanitizer to become intoxicated. And with the levels that are being required right now by the FDA and the World Health Organization, the WHO, 1 ounce of these sanitizers have been increased to contain anywhere between 140 to 160 proof alcohol.
Wow.
140 to 160 proof alcohol. And, that's not even including the nasty stuff out there, where you have some that are containing methanol. The FDA has been doing a recall on a variety of different products. However, they are still unable to ban some of them because it's already here in the United States. So there is a list on the FDA website where you can go and you can access that information. I know we've been trying to kind of keep it updated, but I believe on the sanitizingsafety.com website, there is a link where you can go straight to that FDA banned list and recall list as well. So, I mean, it's huge when you start thinking about what is really going on. Since flavored sanitizers.
Wow.
Flavored sanitizers, really? Yeah.
Right.
But, they did the same thing in the beginning with cigarettes, with children. That's how they got them hooked.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out, I've taught first grade through adults in my entire career. And the kids experimenting with smoking, drugs, alcohol, all of those things really start in middle school, which is where I'm at right now. And I think that unless it really reaches national news. So, for example, whenever kids started eating Tide Pods, everyone was going crazy, like, oh my gosh, how can kids eat Tide Pods? And, what's happening to the kids? Well, if you go to the store now, you will see that the containers that have Tide Pods have those little spider things on it so that they can't be broken into, right? And then, parents were advised to, lock them up or, use an alternative method, things like that. And so there's that. I have a personal story where my students were taking cough syrup. So we spoke about this last week, where my own students were creating a street drink called Lean, where they were taking cough syrup that has a high alcohol content, mixing it with, Sprite, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, Red Code, whatever, to kind of mask the taste of the cough syrup. And then, to make it fun, we're going to throw in gummy bears and then drink that to get drunk. And so kids at that really crucial age, especially whenever their brains are really developing, they have the second highest brain growth in their lifetime during this time. They're making reckless decisions because their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. Mm-hmm. And they're making these kinds of decisions. And if awareness is brought to it, which again, sanitizing safety is, the awareness that we're trying to bring, if there's an awareness that's brought to it, then there are procedures in place. Because now if you go to the pharmacy, if you go to, any CVS, Walgreens, or wherever to buy cough syrup, you can only purchase that from behind the counter in the pharmacy, and you have to show a driver's license. And so it's really important to bring up these points of, parents being educated and understanding that these products are being consumed in this way. There is potentiation here for, students to get a hold of that. You can bring hand sanitizer to school. It's not something that's banned, even though alcohol is banned.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing? And so, and now we have, these 1 ounce little alcohol containers and these cute little packaging with their nice little scents. And you know what? It's equal to almost 3 shots of alcohol.
Yeah.
Concentrated. Right? Yeah. Pardon me?
Right.
Yeah. And 140 to 160 proof.
Right.
Yeah. And so, almost 3 shots of tequila.
Yeah. And so if you have, and again, kids on the bus, this happened to me last school year, kids on the bus getting together and sharing, passing drinks, things like that. Everyone gets together, whatever they have, and they create these concoctions, and then they drink them before they start school. And so again, this is a thing, and it is dangerous. And we have to get the word out to parents that they need to just be very mindful, very careful, choose alternatives, boost the immune system. So having said all of that, Dr. Emanuel has already spoken about some of the different alternatives, some of the different immune boosting, prevention, things like that. But there are alcohol-free alternatives whenever water is not present. What are those things or that thing?
Yes. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of research into that one as well, and we've discovered a product that contains, it's called BZK for a short, it's benzalkonium chloride, which is actually an organic salt. Dr. Ted, you know probably about that one, correct? So what's really fascinating about the benzalkonium chloride is it has been in use as a sanitizing product for about 90 years. Which makes it really, it's really interesting that the product is not being utilized more than what it could be. It's non-toxic, it's environmentally safe. Like I said, it's already said it's considered an organic salt, and it is one of the only FDA-approved ingredients for sanitizers. So you can utilize this. I mean, it's been found in things such as baby wipes, versus this alcohol, these various alcohol products, ethanol as well. You've got methanol out there, which is a toxic when you start ingesting it or putting it on your body, and your skin, as Dr. Ted has been talking about, it absorbs everything that you put on it.
Exactly.
So the BZK is also found on the sanitizingsafety.com website. There is a massive amount of information explaining about all the different studies and the various uses of this particular product. I know we've been personally utilizing the Gland Health BZK line here. And when you start looking at, the fact that the FDA is recommending that the alcohol, in order for alcohol to be effective as a hand sanitizer or any type of sanitizer, it's only effective while it's wet. Whereas the BZK product, it is effective for 4 hours. So when you have alcohol that's only effective for 20 seconds while it's wet, and the FDA and the WHO is now recommending that it needs to be wet for 30 seconds, you're slathering your hands constantly with a very toxic ingredient. So something simple as such as BZK, and it can actually last for 4 hours. There's surface cleaners that last up to 28 days. So you're having such a minimal application. And one of the delightful side effects is that, it's not toxic, it's not harmful, and it actually softens your hands when you use it. So it's kind of one of those sort of cool little side tidbits on that one.
One of, if I may I?
Oh, yes, please.
Things I would recommend after soaking and thoroughly rinsing, you've got to make sure that after you wash, for how many minutes they tell you to make sure you're soaping yourself up. Once you rinse, you have to rinse thoroughly. You can have a teaspoon of sea salt, okay? I normally would use the Yumibashi plum paste, which has sea salt, but it has other things in it like catechin and all kinds of other things. But the regular sea salt can be used, a teaspoon in 4 ounces of water. Make sure it is dissolved, and after washing the hands thoroughly, you spray, just like you would with alcohol. And you have your moisturizing agent on the side to make sure that, because, salt has a drying effect also, right? just to keep the skin supple, soft, and not rapidly dehydrate. You want to use the cream or a lotion, a safe lotion. Make sure it doesn't have Vaseline in it. Vaseline. Most products, your hand products or your skincare products, they have petrolatum in it. They have that Vaseline derivative in it. And that has a way of sealing the skin, which is another problem. It blocks the pores and is not advisable. So make sure it doesn't have Vaseline in it or any of the Vaseline found in the cream. And that can be used rather than the alcohol all day. Just another precaution.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that any suggestions that we can give to parents and other people is really crucial. And we have about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to just give kind of a shout out to parents that are concerned. What do I do? You know, at schools, they are over disinfecting, they're over sanitizing the children, especially if the kids are in elementary school. I don't want to say that it's necessarily forced, but it is, you know, whenever the kids come into the classroom, whenever the kids leave the classroom, whenever the kids come back into the classroom, before they go to lunch, when they come back from lunch, you know, it's so many times a day that the kids, you know, the teacher or another student is standing next to the door and doing a little pump in everyone's hands. And that's, I mean, just really extreme overuse. So if there's any parents out there that are concerned, I really strongly urge you, go directly to the district or go to the PTA, the PTO, whichever you have in the school, because those other parents are going to be advocates. You can go to the superintendent, you can go to the board of directors, whatever structure your school has. I worked in private, charter, and public schools. So whatever supervisory board is over those decisions and those choices, I really urge you to reach out to them, especially show them the videos, show them sanitizingsafety.com, show them, I mean, the news now, there was a news, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the specific news outlet it was, but they were speaking about sanitizing surfaces. So Dr. Kashaw will be on next week. And he'll be speaking about overuse and disinfectants. And so we had a news broadcast on just 2 days ago that was speaking about, you know, sanitizing surfaces is not also the most effective way in combating the virus at this point. And so we do have some questions for our guests. So I will go ahead and start to ask those. Let's see.
Before you jump to the first, can I just say something?
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
In relationship to the ingestion of the alcohol, one way or another, to the skin, is going directly to the liver, as I started saying earlier.
Yeah.
And once the alcohol gets to the liver, there's a conversion and there's a storage. It is stored in the liver as glycogen, right? That substance, again, as I mentioned earlier, it goes from the liver to the gallbladder, from the gallbladder to the adrenals, from the adrenals out to the periphery of the skin, and you can create an enormous amount of problems with children, again, with the addiction of the alcohol, and not know what we're doing to our children. This is crucial because the organs and glands that are involved. When you deal with sabotaging the functionality of the adrenal glands, then here goes your immunity.
Yeah,
The adrenal
absolutely.
glands control the entire immunological system. It protects the kidneys. It does all kinds of things. So this is a serious, serious situation that we are dealing with our children. And I think this program today is really essential for us to share.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, Dr. Ted, I'll share one quick brief story as we close up, Tasha, because I actually have a personal friend, and she was telling me that her and a group of her girlfriends went shopping the one day, and her one girlfriend used an excessive amount of hand sanitizer throughout the day because they were shopping. And, I am here in Vegas, so everything is open. And she has a device on her car that you have to blow into it in order to start the car. So what happened at the end of the day when they went to leave, couldn't start the car.
Wow.
She was over the limits from using hand sanitizers all day long, because each little 1 ounce that your container, who knows how many ounces they went through, that's containing almost 3 shots.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's if you go through a couple of ounces in a day, that's like having potentially 6+ shots of alcohol, 140 to 160 proof. That's some serious stuff there.
That is crucial.
So yeah, this information needs to be out there, and they're putting it on our kids.
Yes.
They're putting it on kids, and the states are following these guidelines that are mandated, or recommendations. However, each one has their own regulations and guidelines. And there's only 3 approved ingredients. 2 of them are alcohol based. Ethanol and isopropyl alcohol. The only other approved ingredient is benzalkonium chloride, BZK, and it's not toxic. Why in the world is nobody just getting smart about this?
Well, and I'd also like to point out that not so long ago, it was found out that the damage that high fructose corn syrup, the havoc that it wreaks in the body. And so now you have lots of products, right? The word got out. Now lots of products are directly marketing no high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
We were, I can't remember what we were eating, but we were eating, I have ketchup, and on the ketchup bottle, it says that. And I was just like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just not so long ago, everyone had no idea about high fructose corn syrup. And then here it is. Now it's not so great. So we do have a couple of questions. Dr. Emanuel, this first one is for you. You spoke about refined sugar, brown sugar, honey as immune suppressors, but what about stevia?
As a matter of fact, last weekend someone made a cake for me. Well, I'm not as much as I love cake, they're not too good with me because of the sugar that they put in and the egg and the this, and so I don't really eat cake anymore. For 3 years, I've just made maybe a little piece now and again. So the person gave me a piece of cake, but with the cake, they made a jam of dates and stevia?
Stevia.
Yeah. And it was so sweet. I really liked it a lot. So I ended up having a little bit more than I normally have, any kind of sweet like that. I do have a sweet tooth, so I stay away. And I was just sharing yesterday, I have a rash right under my eye, and I don't get those types of things. And I know it's from me overindulging in that piece of cake. Mm-hmm. So we just have to be careful. I don't know much about it to go and say much about it, and I don't like to do that. I am very careful. I do not recommend sugars to my clients until they get into the fourth phase of my 4-part program, therapeutic program. And that's when the blood and everything has been totally detoxified, purified, and harmonized. Mm-hmm. Blood start to make and strengthen. And then in that 4th phase, I might start to reintroduce things like fruits, but not the sweetened, over-sweetened fruits. You know, you have some fruits that you can't believe they're not sweetened with raw sugar. So I'm saying here that sugar, I'm very careful with when it comes to building immunity because of the speed of sugar, depending on the type of sugar. Mm-hmm. Fructose is fruits are very good, they're wonderful. But fructose, we have to be careful with because we don't actually see how much of it we're taking in. Mm-hmm. You know, I bought 7 plums the other day, and I'm inside, I'm locked down, and before you know it, I had 6 of the plums. Really, one after the other. You know, I got a little bored, and before you know it, I ate 6 plums. Just imagine the amount of fructose there.
Oh, yes.
I know how to neutralize the sugar acid because the conversion here, all sugar is acid. And if we're trying to get away from over acidifying the blood, because that's where the problems of diseases it's manifested, right? Disruption of the blood. And sugar weakens the blood. It has a way of weakening the blood, just like salt has a way of tonifying the blood cells, but too much of it creates crystallization and the binding of the energy. So we have to be constantly mindful as to not too much of this and not too much of that, because we always seek balance within what we do. That's what I do, is seek harmony. So again, we have to be careful with these things that we know are laced with sugar, be they refined sugar, fructose, or whatever they are. We have to be very careful here, okay, when it comes to sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if that answers you.
I can't speak enough. I mean, I've been on a low sugar diet for a while, and even whenever I eat one banana, I'm just wired. There's so much sugar. I really try to stay away from eating bananas, even though they have so many.
Oh my God!
Vitamins and nutrients, but the bananas, they have way too much sugar for me to eat. I know, but I can't. I get too wired. I mean, I can eat one banana in the morning and I have so much energy for the entire day. It's like coffee.
But there again, bananas are so wonderful, but the potassium level can create an imbalance again in the skin. Mm-hmm. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Potassium must have sodium for balance.
Yeah.
Like that, harmonization like that. And if you're not aware, you end up eating fruits all day. I know some people who are fruitarians like that. They seemingly do very well, but when I see them, because of my evaluation ability, I'm able to see all kinds of disruption by way of the skin that's going on inside. Because the skin, as I said, it tells all. There's nothing about us that the skin does not reflect, as long as it's on the inside. You know? Right. So it's a good tool for us to have to pay attention to. Our biggest tool, the skin.
So speaking about sodium, there's a question for Jessica. Is BZK alcohol based?
No, it is not alcohol based. It is considered an organic salt. So, no, there is no alcohol whatsoever associated with it. Short and simple, sweet answer. I mean, without going into all, all the details of, about it. But there you go.
Yeah.
Short and sweet answer.
And then the last question is for Dr. Emanuel. So earlier you spoke about the pH, and there's actually one question, but it has two parts. Okay. Yeah. So the first part of the question is, how can we find the pH of soap at the store? And then the second part of the question is, what is the pH that we should be looking for?
Okay, good. I'll take the first one first. It's rare that anyone who makes soap will disclose what level, what pH is their soap. Soap, most soap range anywhere from 8 or and up. Sometimes they go all the way up to 9 and above. They're quite stripping. Right? The higher the pH of the soap, the more they strip the skin. A mild soap, remember, human pH supposed to be anywhere between 7 and 7.2, 7.3. Nobody gets there. It's rare. So I am saying here, once you start experimenting on soap, you can tell, your skin will tell you a lot about the soap's pH. Other than that, it's difficult because they are not telling you like they would put it on the cosmetic jars or bottles. They do that. I know that for a fact because I was one of the first in the United States of America to get them to put the ingredients on cosmetic products. Ted Emanuel did that. I was a part of that whole team who did that to the entire health food industry in the United States of America, because that's where my strong point. I was a salesman for Reviva Labs. We started in a garage with our cosmetic line. Are you with me? So it's important that you know how important and valuable it is to get them to put the pH on these soaps. You don't know. Pick up a jar of soap unless it's somebody like, who's really into naturalism. And even if they are into natural products, they don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they ought to, because soap can be quite harmful to your immunological system. It really disrupts the acid mantle of the skin. It's crucial. The skin's health is crucially important. What comes in, and it doesn't have to be what you put in your mouth. We get more stuff into the skin through our pores than we get on a daily basis through our mouth. You'd be surprised how much stuff you get into the skin if the skin is adequately clean. It gets in there. The skin is porous. Are you with me? And the skin comes in weight, just like paper. The thickness of the skin or its thinness, roughness or dryness, oiliness or doughiness, they all come in varying degrees of oiliness, as I mentioned earlier, or dryness. Mm-hmm. We just have to know we have to keep on doing things like this to share from time to time with our viewers and listeners.
I have one last question. And I think
you answered, there was a second part, I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
What was
it? So it was, what is the pH? And then how do you look for it? And I think you answered both of those.
Not with the soap, okay, yeah.
Yeah. The very last question, Jessica, what about antibacterial soaps? That's my own question.
What about them? I mean,
better, worse, use them, not use them, caution.
Caution.
Because parents, again, like in this time, people are looking for, they think, oh, okay, well, alcohol-based may not be that great, but here's antibacterial. People don't really understand the difference between bacteria versus viruses and how they get sick with them and things like that. And so, I was just, as Dr. Emanuel was speaking, I was, thinking, a lot of people, if you go to the grocery store, hoarding has started again here in Arizona. You go to the store, all of the soaps are gone, but specifically antibacterial soaps. So,
okay. So what's going on and you're just experiencing is you have this massive amount of fear that people have over a virus that has a 99.9 5% survival rate. Mm-hmm. So the reality is you have a false fear that has been generated by the media, because all you hear is fear, 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 fear. They don't tell you that basically, almost pretty much everybody survives. And we just did an interview on a different event where a medical doctor explains that beautifully as well. So people are looking at ways of, it seems that they're attempting to eliminate viruses and bacteria. However, that's always going to be around. It has been and it always will be. We have bacteria that live inside our body, on our skin, that is essential for our well-being. When you are eliminating these bacteria, you're also creating a massive amount of imbalance in the body. Thanks, Dr. Ted. So to go back to the digestion as well, I mean, our digestive system is full of bacteria that we absolutely need, the good flora that is in there. But that's a discussion for another day. We have it on our skin as well, and it helps to protect our skin. So when people are attempting to change what God so perfectly created, because we have this massive amount of media fear that is going on in the world, especially in this country, that it's not a very wise or intelligent choice. Like Dr. Ted, there's if you want something that's going to take care of things, go with the BZK products if you feel that you actually absolutely have to have it. He mentioned about spraying, the salt of the BZK is an organic salt. But you don't want to be spraying all this stuff on your body. You don't want to be doing this.
Not overuse.
That's the whole, it's an overuse. Every now and then you might want to, but unless you're putting, scratching your butt and then putting it in, in your nose or your eyes, you're pretty good to go, because if you've got a virus on your hands, your digestive system's going to take care of it. Right there.
That's
the bacteria.
That's what the acid mantle is about.
Yes. Yes.
You're drinking, not to be repeating myself, if you're drinking too much liquid, it's going to disrupt the acid mantle, the pH, that natural protection that you are looking for will not be there. If you're taking in too much fatty, greasy things, the skin surface is going to be too oily, and then the mixture of that sweat, right, is not going to be adequate enough quantitatively to mix with all that oil on the surface, so that natural pH is not going to be there. That acid mantle is going to deceive you, you thinking that your natural body fluids supposed to be protecting you, and here you're drinking or you're eating all these fatty, greasy things, you're not going to have a good pH on the surface. Yeah. And if it's not on the surface, internally, it's not there either, because the skin reflects the whole.
So we just have just a few minutes left, and we want to run a short PSA video for you guys. So if Jessica, if you could tell us if anyone out there wants to reach you, what is your contact info?
Yes, you can reach out to sanitizingsafety.com. There is a variety of information on there. There's a contact sheet, and it's a wealth of sanitizing safety on there. And just as a side note, we don't sell any products on it. So it is a true informative public service announcement website to get the message out there about what's being created in our society, in the world, and what's going on with this catastrophe in the making.
And I highly encourage people to share. It's a pretty comprehensive website. I contributed one article to it that I found. So it's full of articles. It's full of information. Again, it has a link to the FDA website. Please make sure that you guys visit that and that you share with others so that, again, we can get the word out about the dangers of overuse of alcohol-based and just use in general, how to take care of your skin. Yeah, hit share, hit like, subscribe, all of those things. We have an Instagram and a Facebook page. So then again, I'm Tasha Jackson with Naturally Inspired. I will be putting this video on my site, also Awake, Healthy, Informed. So you can find out this video from today there within the next week and a half. And then Dr. Emanuel, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm easy. I'm all the way here in beautiful Jamaica. One way you can come down when it's all over, you can come down anyway. People are coming to Jamaica. Safe, and they're really taking good care as best as they can. But to find me, you can call. My website is being overhauled as we speak, all right? And you can call me at 1-877-664-2888. Or you can call my office number. That's my personal number. You can call me anyway. 876-754-8843. That's my office number. And you can write me. You can write me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can write me. And I am open. I'm extremely busy now because of certain things I'm doing with I'm trying to help the government. I'm trying to help our farming situation down here. I'm trying to help the schools. I'm about to open up, in the process of opening up a school for our Caribbean and Jamaican children, free of cost, where I will be giving 20 scholarships, 100 scholarships to 20 schools. Let me get it right. 100 scholarships to 20 schools, 5 scholarships per school. We're in the process now of seeing about, I already have the design of the school, the whole bit, and we're getting ready to go. I'm excited about that. I am also trying to work with the tourist industry because, again, as a skin specialist, melanoma is on the rise. It's a big problem, okay, from sunburn, skin cancer. So through education, I have the safe tanning workshops that I am now putting out there to get and protect our guests as they come into our environment. It is crucially important because repeat business is what we rely on because tourism is our chief industry. So I found that educating our guests as to the harm of the electromagnetic radiation, not only from the sun, but the 5G, 4G, the electromagnetic radiation. I am trying to educate our people as far as our tourists and our citizens. So I'm very busy with those things, but I am here to answer anyone and assist as much as I can, especially when it comes to our church.
Thank you so much. We're out of time now. We're out of time now. We're going to have to play the PSA video, so please don't go anywhere for the next 4 minutes. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you also for the invitation. I'm sure that we're all going to be descending on the island we're all of us have an invitation to go to Dr. Emanuel's house now. So, and also thank you so much for Jessica, and then we'll go ahead and play the video, and then we're going to wrap up for today. Again, thank you so much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you so much, Tasha.